Welcome back to another exciting episode of Tea Time with Twaambo. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for following the account on Instagram. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you for hanging in there. So today I'm going to talk about something remarkable that happened to me last night. So basically, last night I had the opportunity to talk to somebody that had hurt me really deeply 13 years ago. Yes, I counted. Yes, I remember when it happened. It was 13 years ago. We were able to have an honest and open conversation about what happened and to basically move on with lots of love for each other still, and both of us having grown the wiser through the situation. And I want to share the few things that I learned through our conversation. And I hope it really helps you if you have a situation where you're holding a grudge against somebody, or somebody hurt you a long time ago or yesterday. Here's a few truths that will help you deal with what you're going through, and hopefully you're not hurting so much after you hear what I have to say. So number one, people do not realize how much or how deeply they have hurt you when they do. It was really interesting to speak to this person and explain how they had hurt me, and honestly, they didn't think that they had hurt me that much. Even after I had expressed myself in a letter to them saying, hey, this is how you hurt me, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, up to Z, I let them know. And it was interesting to hear from them that they didn't really know how much they hurt me. I was like, are you sure? I thought I told you. And they were like, yeah, you told me, but I never understood how deeply I hurt you. So I want you to know that maybe that person that's hurt you doesn't know how deeply hurt you are. Second thing, even if you explain, they may not be mature enough to understand what they did. So after explaining how this person hurt me and how I found out that they didn't realize how much they did, I also realized that at the time they were not mature enough to understand what they did or how deeply they hurt me. A lot of times when people hurt us, we think they really know what they're doing or they're out to get us. And to tell the truth, sometimes people don't know or are not mature enough to understand what they've done. It doesn't negate the fact that they've done it, but it gives you a little more understanding when you know that they're not mature enough to understand exactly what they're doing. The other thing I learned is that you both need time to process the events and learn what you must. So it has taken 13 years for us to come out and discuss this situation openly, and to not hold grudges, and to not be defensive when, the other person says, well, you did this, and you say, well, I did this and you did this. It takes time for you to have that conversation where everybody's emotions are in the right place. You've both matured. There's no hurt feelings. If somebody says, well, I did this because you did this, the time has allowed you to be able to look in retrospect and say, actually, that's not what I meant when I did it, and maybe you're remembering it the wrong way. When you can discuss it after a time, the risks of you being offended and flying off the handle are much less. So you both need the time to process what happened, and you need the time to learn the lesson from what happened. So after all these 13 years, I can see a similar situation coming from a mile off. I've learned my lessons. I know how to react. I know not to go there anymore. And I'm thinking that the person that hurt me has also learned that they're not going to step into the situation anymore. So we have both learned after time what we must, do if the situation ever comes up again. Now, I'd like to give you a little disclaimer, okay? It may not take 13 years like it did for us. It might take longer, or it might take a week, depending on the maturity of the people in the situation. So don't lose hope. It might take longer than you think, or it might not take as much time as you think. Another thing I learned is that you both have to get to a place where you can go there and address the past situation with openness and without blame. So you can honestly talk about, this is what happened. I reacted this way because I felt this way and I was wrong. Or I felt that you did this out of spite and I felt that you were being ridiculous. You both have to get to a place where you can talk about these things with openness and without blame. Because if you are still trying to go there and discuss this subject, and one of you is still getting offended and still wants to be right, That is something that you should watch out for as well. If you're discussing this situation and you want to be right and you can't accept that maybe the person didn't know that they were hurting you, or that person wasn't mature enough and that person has grown and they're a different person, then you are the person that's not ready to talk about this, and you're the person that's not ready to move on. So remember, get to a place where you can go there and address the past situation with openness and without blame. The last thing that I learned in this beautiful, beautiful conversation was that you can never write anyone off completely and forever. People can surprise you. So I had written this person off and I had said, yeah, this person will never change, or this relationship is dead forever. And yeah, that's just how it is. That's how life is. Continue. But I was surprised by the candid, honest, loving conversation that we had last night and how much love for each other we still had. And I was very, very surprised. And this just shows me that you can never write people off forever. People change. People have written you off as well, and you've probably changed too. So yes, they may have disappointed you and you need time away from them, and until you can have this conversation and make up, you may have written them off. But you can never write people off forever. And you will learn that in your life as you go on. So I just wanted to let people know that making up with somebody that has hurt you in the past is possible. You have both grown. You both need to have an open conversation. Forgo your right to be right. Stop with the blame and just move on with more love in your life. It is possible, and it gives you such a light feeling that you can move on and you've dropped this case. You're not carrying this weight anymore, because sometimes we say, oh, that's over. I don't care. I don't care about that person and I totally let it go. Well, judging by the hurt in your voice when you talk about it, clearly you have not let it go and you're still ruminating about it. So, this has been another episode of Tea Time with Twaambo, where we get ourselves unstuck so we can move forward. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for sharing. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to visit the blog, www.trulytwaambo.com. Go ahead and tag your friends on the Instagram post so they can listen to the podcast, and also subscribe. If you're listening on iTunes or on Spotify, on Stitcher, on Podbean, on Anchor, I am everywhere. Go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And I had a bonus episode that some of you caught and some of you didn't. So go ahead and visit the page wherever you're listening from and listen to the bonus episode. And don't forget to subscribe. I appreciate y'all. Love and light. God bless. Thank you.
The podcast you just heard was published with Anchor. Got something you want to say to the creator of this show? Send them a voice message using the Anchor app, free for iOS and Android.